Lots of rejections coming in here for Bitcoin at the 67, now basically more like the $68,000 range. So we're going to be covering this with you today, if we can break this level, how long it's going to take to break this level, and of course where Bitcoin might go, because I really do feel like all-time highs are right around the corner now. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to set those all-time highs, but I do think that we have a very strong chance at doing so. And I think that it's all just coming down to this zone of resistance, and it's a really important zone of resistance. But as soon as we can kind of get above it, if we can, because there are no guarantees here, I think it's going to be a very quick ride up to the $71,000 price range, and from there I think it's going to be a very breezy ride up to all-time highs as well. So super exciting stuff. Let's first dive into what this resistance level means, okay? And there are a few different ways to look at this zone of resistance. The first key way that I've got drawn here is this nice horizontal box. And the reason that I like this horizontal box, this green box here, is because you can just kind of trace it back, and it very clearly lines up with some key reversals that have kind of taken place around this level. And we've also found a little bit of resistance here as well, right? So 67, 66, it's all kind of blurring together now, 68. Very much an important kind of price zone for Bitcoin, where right now we're more looking at kind of 67 and 68. And what I think is especially interesting is that depending on how you've got this diagonal line drawn, we are now battling this line for some resistance. And if we take a look at this chart drawn differently, this is how this is more like how I had originally drawn this chart. We've now got a much more serious sustained breakout for this market here. Now, I mean, from this breakout point, we're up by 3.4%, but what's much more important than that is that we've formed not one, but two daily closes above our resistance channel, and we're forming the third candle right now. There are only 7 hours left until we close this candle, so really not that much time here, and I think that definitely tells us a lot about how strong this market is. Now, obviously, there are so many different ways you can draw this, right? We can kind of start lining it up a little bit more with resistance, and then the story does change just a little bit. But I think I think regardless of what kind of perspective you have, we're looking good. We're definitely looking like this is a more real breakout than anything that we've seen before. But if we do start to really try and line up all of those tops, and we do start to kind of lose meaning, I would say, at support just a touch, from this perspective, we are still at resistance. And the reason I'm showing this to you with multiple different ways drawing the same thing is that different people are going to draw stuff like this differently. And you need to be prepared for each of these eventualities, because each of these pictures they draw a picture which is slightly different from each other, but it explains very clearly why we're finding resistance here. And I'm going to show you a little bit more about how we're finding resistance here in just a minute, before we start talking about how high this market could be going. If you are enjoying this video so far, do me a favor and smash up those likes. Double check that you are, of course, subscribed, because this is very time sensitive content that we're putting out over here on this YouTube channel. So definitely hit that subscribe button, check the bell icon next to it, and while you're down there, some phenomenal links, huge bonuses. When you start trading using my links, you're going to get tons of free cash deposited into your account, and you can do whatever you like with that money. If you make any profits, you can withdraw them. Always check your country's local laws and regulations before you check any of these exchanges out, though. But back to the chart here, clearly some residual, I want to say, resistance, right? Like there's still something here. It's not fully dealt with yet, but we're clearly trying very hard. And if we zoom in and really take a look at what this market is doing, I mean, just look at all of this indecision, right? Originally yesterday or the day before, we got this really weird kind of aggressive pump where the market actually had this big fake out to the top, big fake out to the bottom, and then we just kind of slowly trended higher. But since then, look at all of these wicks here. I mean, some very strong rejections here. Clearly, the bears not wanting the market to rise higher, and the bulls not being able to produce enough strength just yet. Now, with all of that said, look at Bitcoin's dominance, ladies and gents. We're going to be coming back to this a little bit later on in this YouTube video, but just to zoom out, we have conclusively set a brand new high for Bitcoin's dominance. Not a surprise whatsoever whatsoever for those of you that have been watching this YouTube channel. And by the way, thank you for all of the support on yesterday's video. You guys were so nice in the comment section, and obviously a lot of people super happy that all of my predictions are kind of starting to really come into fruition now. Obviously it might not stay that way. We're still looking at probabilities. I've been wrong before and I'll be wrong again, but so far, yeah, of course, we've had stellar performance here. We've been 100% correct for a very long time now in this market, and Bitcoin's dominance continuing to move in that trend, toward that 60% dominance level, potentially even higher. We'll see. I'm not going to say that it's going to be horrible just yet. And if we do take a look at Ethereum against Bitcoin, we did see a very small recovery off this level from yesterday, but we're right back down. In fact, no, we're lower than the low from yesterday. So, I mean, this is a chart that's about to roll over. I would love to see it find support somehow, but I don't think it's going to happen anymore. I think that this is pretty much a done deal. All it's going to take is a little bit of a momentum, a little bit of a kind of snap of the fingers, some sort of kind of click to set things off. And then I think it's going to be Dumpsville for Ethereum against Bitcoin, deep into the crypto abyss. And again, dominance continuing to prove that. We'll come back to all of that in a minute. I also, of course, want to look at traditional finance, the dollar, and so on. I got some really interesting tweets and charts to show you as well. So we're going to come back to all of that in just a second here, but if we do keep it locked to Bitcoin now, clearly a little bit of resistance here, and the next steps, in my opinion, are pretty straightforward. I've already outlined them in yesterday's video, so shout out to those of you that are subscribed, that do have the bell icon checked, because you are getting that time-sensitive content very quickly. You're going to know that the key thing I said Bitcoin needs to do now is just kind of stay stable sideways over here for a little bit, and that's exactly what we've done so far. I mean, we've actually been a little bit more aggressive than that, but anything above this yellow line, I think if we hold anything above this yellow line, just sideways, even if we slowly trend down over the next few days, it really doesn't matter to me how it happens, but as long as Bitcoin can hold above this yellow line, we're going to start to really mature up in this price range. And what we're going to do that's a really big deal, ladies and gents, and you're going to remember that I was talking about this just yesterday in that video too, is we are actually going to, look, this is a different way that you can kind of draw this pennant. I mean, look, I don't necessarily think this is the best way to do it. It's a lot more messy than the other ways, but I'm just showing you there's so much interpretation here. But even if you're like super conservative about the resistance, we're still breaking it right now. So, it's hard to be a bear, like, from any different perspective I see here. And by the way, fear and greed index reflects this, right? I mean, we're looking at a reading of 73 today. This is way too high. I did say, if we get a big jump, it's going to be a bit concerning. This is too high, in my opinion. It's going to update in 7 hours. We're going to see if this gets even higher. I think the market could get punished for something like this. Maybe not now. Fear and greed index is not, like, super snappy. We don't necessarily respond to it super quick, but your turn will come if you're a little bit too bullish or if you're a little bit too bearish, and that's been proven many times with this fear and greed index. We'll come back to this as well in a minute, but the first key thing that I want to kind of outline with you guys, and we spoke about it briefly on yesterday's video, but it's so important that I got to cover it again with you today, is this. And let me know in the comment section, do you want me to cover stuff like this with you, or do you kind of get it? I think, there's going to be some people that just understand what I'm saying, and they're like, okay, he's kind of repeating the same thing again, and we don't need to hear it. And there are going to be other people that are like, this is actually super useful. I'm so glad that Sammy's covering this again, because I didn't fully get it the first time. I don't know where you are on that spectrum, but let me know in the comment section. It's really helpful. 20K was obviously Bitcoin's top back in 2017. Really nice top for Bitcoin. Triggered a big downtrend and very harsh rejection. I mean, we're talking super quick. Within just a few days, Bitcoin managed to get from 20K all the way down to 10, and then it rebounded up to 17. So we're talking about some quite extreme price action here, ladies and gents. And the Bitcoin price did not return to $20,000 until 2020. Now, what's really interesting here is that you see the first time Bitcoin hit 20K, it was a very quick, sharp rejection. There was no ambiguity. There was no doubt about it. This was a market that was getting rejected, and it was a strong rejection. But the next time that Bitcoin managed to get up here, there's no strong rejection in sight. There was like a preemptive little strike here, but it wasn't actually that bad. It was down by $3,000, so much less than the $10,000 that we saw previously. And then it just recovered it right. And in fact, it set a new high after that. And I think what's really important is that the price just kind of held this level for quite some time here. And I think that really tells us a lot about how strong this market was on this occasion, right? Previously, when we got up to this level, it was a super quick, instant rejection, no debate, no time to talk about it. On the next occasion, when the price got here, it actually stabilized. And the big thing that happens when the price stabilizes at a resistance level is that you've got a lot of Bitcoins that want to be sold off. But the more time you spend at that price level, the more that supply dwindles down, okay? And while that supply goes down, what you're going to start to see is that all of that demand that took you up here in the first place, that demand is still sticking around in the market, but now there's no supply. There's no Bitcoins that want to be sold at this price level anymore because they've all been sold, because the market is trending sideways. It's not trending because it's ranging. And if the market is ranging, if it's going sideways, then some people are buying, some people are selling, right? And if you're at a resistance level, you're going to be getting a little bit more selling action a lot of the time. That's why you're still at resistance. Otherwise, you would have already passed the resistance level. But that supply dwindles down. And that's why it's so important to establish these kind of sideways ranges at resistance levels. And that's why I'm saying it'd be the best thing for Bitcoin to do right now. I'm not even saying that I want to see Bitcoin pump above $67,000 yet, right? I think it's I don't want to say it's early for that. I wouldn't say it's early for that, but it's not late, right? I mean, we haven't spent that much time up here yet. And so, you know, a little bit of a, you know what I'm saying? Like just a little bit kind of return back down here, sideways, something like that, you know, like, and then just send it. That would actually put the market, I think, in a really healthy position. And I think that this could actually be dependent a little bit more on traditional finance. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the S&P 500 is saying. Obviously, a beautiful trend so far where it's been regularly setting all-time highs exactly as we've been predicting on this YouTube channel. We're still not getting any surprises here with the S&P 500. It did trigger a little bit of a pullback yesterday, which is being recovered as we speak. There are 3 hours left in this index now, and I think that's enough time for nothing or slightly up. I wouldn't necessarily expect it to drop down. I don't want to get too caught up in analyzing the super kind of intraday movements of the S&P 500 because this is a bigger index and it's much more, it's even political, right? I mean, this is much more than just, you know, lines on a chart like Bitcoin, but it's still clearly trending up. And I think that's kind of, again, one of the big things that's been allowing Bitcoin to perform so well. The dollar also moving up while Bitcoin is moving up. So this is a really, really good sign, ladies and gents, because if and when the dollar does start to reverse, maybe it happens in my range, maybe before, maybe afterwards, I don't know. But if and when the dollar does start to reverse, you know, we're already in such a bullish environment for Bitcoin, you know, and typically if the dollar is getting weak, Bitcoin gets very, very strong. So, you know, we're kind of just setting up here for the dollar to get smacked back down. I don't anticipate this to get better. It's a bigger kind of macroeconomic and, again, political discussion, so we're not going to get too deep into it, and you're going to have your own opinions. But I think most people are pretty bearish. They're pretty pessimistic on the dollar. I have seen Trump talking about restoring strength to the dollar by imposing 100% tariffs on companies that abandon it. I don't know if that's going to work. We don't know if he's going to get elected, number one. Number two, if he does get elected, I don't know if he's going to do it. Number three, if he does do it, I don't even know if it's going to work. So, you know, I don't really know why the dollar is going up right now. It doesn't matter anyway. What I'm seeing here is a lot of potential drop, a big potential drop here for the dollar, which could really, really energize Bitcoin and send Bitcoin significantly higher. So that's what I'm seeing here. Sideways would be one of the best things we could do right now. If we do start breaking resistance levels, then it's like I said, it's going to be a very quick ride up. I have absolutely no doubt about that. And I think that Bitcoin's going to have no problem breaking 72 as well. We might come back down for support or whatever, do something like that, and that's going to be completely fine. But I really don't think Bitcoin's going to be getting below 66K again if we manage to break this resistance. I think that I either think that will never happen again, or it won't happen for a very long time. I'm talking weeks or months. So if you like this price level, you better enjoy the last little bit of time that we have here, because either way, I think a lot of people are going to agree. Either we're pumping super, super hard, or we're dumping super, super hard. And clearly my bias has been up since has been up since $15,000. Those of you that were watching this YouTube channel are going to remember that when we were way down there, I was saying that I think Bitcoin can get to 30K, maybe even 40K, back when everybody was saying 12K, 9K, 6K, 3K. I was the only motherfucker, the only one. There were a couple more, I don't remember. But I was the only motherfucker saying that I think Bitcoin's getting up to 30 or 40K. And here we are at 67, and my bias remains the same. Why? Just purely because we haven't been invalidated yet. That's all. We just haven't been invalidated yet. Clearly, the trend is still working. Clearly, we're still pushing. We're still doing very well, I think. And so to me, that is a really, really good sign. So again, if we do get that big pump up, then I think, yeah, I think if we do get that pump up, I think it's going to be a big one. I think it's going to bridge that gap up to 71, 72 pretty quick. And I think all-time highs, whatever. Then it's the market's decision. Is it just going to pump straight through? That would make sense. Is it going to get there and then, take the scenic route and then get there? That would also make sense, right? There's a lot of different ways we can do this. There's no right or wrong way. And bottom line, there are really, really good trading opportunities that are about to open up. So definitely well worth checking out these links below if you want all the free cash these exchanges are giving you, because it's almost like a bit of a head start. You have more money that you can trade with. And again, any profits that you make are going to be yours to withdraw anyway. So super, super cool offer. Always check if your country allows you to use these platforms before you get on them. If you're on Bybit and you're a VIP member, this is how you become a VIP member. You can pause the screen, but just 100K deposit, it will make you VIP. So obviously not everyone has 100K, but if you do have it, you will be a VIP member, and you're going to get the Bybit debit card, international, anywhere in the world, which is super, super cool. They will post it to you in the mail, and you can spend this card anywhere you like in the world. It is a MasterCard, so it's exactly what you're used to. Amazing. I love this. It is super, super cool. And of course, Apex is their decentralized sister exchange, so you should check them both out if you are curious and if you're allowed to. But super, super cool stuff there for Bitcoin. Let's talk about the downside, though. I think if Bitcoin slips below 66.5, basically the prior high, then I think we could be in a little bit of trouble. We still got support below, so it's really not that bad. It's hard to paint a kind of bearish image on this chart because there's still tons and tons of support below. It's just going to be a setback, right? I mean, we've done so well up until this point, so I really don't want to see Bitcoin losing, let's call it 66K. I don't want to see Bitcoin losing 66K. It's going to be a real blow to its progress. It's probably going to have to mean that it has to capture support lower, at least a few $1,000s, if not lower than that, maybe 10K lower, that it's going to have to capture support before moving up. I don't know. It's hard to say, obviously, but I think that invalidation is going to be pretty squarely at 66K. Anything above that, we're looking pretty good. And below that, yeah, we're probably going to be losing our ground a little bit. So I think that's important. Let's take a look at Mustache here on Twitter. If you ask me, too many people are waiting for a dip here. As a rule, Bitcoin simply goes higher. In such cases, a breakout of the trend is a huge signal. Completely agreed. A lot of people have found themselves in deep shit looking for retracements. A lot of people saying things like, I'll just buy when it's lower, or I'll buy the dip or whatever. And with Bitcoin, I mean, the dips come, but they just don't come when you want to buy them. And when you do want to buy them, you sure as fuck aren't going to get the dips. So that's been my experience, and I think Mustache is completely on point there with this tweet. We've got Crypto Yapper right here showing another chart of Bitcoin dominance and basically saying that if Bitcoin dominance breaks, we could be dropping very hard and alt season could be turning into something that's around the corner. I obviously think that alt season is still very far away, but I completely agree with the rest of the analysis, and I think that when Bitcoin is done, the opportunities in the altcoin market will be... I want to say words, I want to use words like mind-blowing, but mind-blowing doesn't do this justice. It's going to be at least 1,000 times better than mind-blowing, in my opinion. That's just me. In my opinion, it's going to be insane. I think it's going to be the craziest thing ever. So yeah, I fully agree with this analysis in terms of the overall idea. I just think that it's still a little bit too soon to talk about it. I don't really know what it achieves by discussing something like this right now. Other than just exciting people, which is fair enough. I can understand that. But here, another chart with Bitcoin's dominance. We've got a Wyckoff distribution schematic here suggesting that Bitcoin's dominance might be dropping. I mean, I think it's been invalidated now, first of all, because we've set a new high. But it's also just really obviously not going to be happening. So I'm really not worried about this at all. One second, guys. So if we take a look at the final one, this one's interesting. We've got Trump polling at 60% on Polymarket. This is not actual polling. This is based on polls and based on other factors, and it's a betting market. So 60% of the bettors, basically, of the gamblers, are suggesting 60%. I don't want to call this gambling, really. What is this? I don't know what it is, but yeah, you got 60% saying that Trump might win. How is this important for the markets? That's going to be, honestly, it's going to be more dependent on your politics. We've covered both sides on this YouTube channel. I basically said that if Harris wins, you're probably going to get a lot of inflation, assets will go up. If Trump wins, you're probably going to get amazing monetary policy, assets will go up. In either cases, we're making bank, ladies and gents. We're still making money. We're all going to make it. That's just how I feel about this election. Obviously, I think the better policies, the better everything would be coming out of Trump. You know, but how much that would affect the crypto market, I don't know. I'm not actually that optimistic. I think they're both blowing hot air. I think they're both, you know, not really good for crypto, despite what they say. They're obviously still, pardon me, they're obviously still politicians. They're obviously still liars. I don't know how much of a problem or good thing this could be. But overall, yeah, it's probably better for Bitcoin if Trump is in government. And look at Bitcoin's dominance, still rising up right now as we speak. Just a very, very aggressive market here, clearly. So we just got to see what happens here. If we break this level, it's going to be so many resistance levels breaking at the same time, or at least two very strong resistance levels breaking at the same time. So I think that's a really big deal. So we're going to be watching that to see how it all plays out. Ladies and gents, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, you know what to do. Smash up those likes, double check that you're subscribed, tick the bell icon, check out the beautiful offers down below, pending your laws and regulations in your country. And I will see you all in the next one. Cheers.